Welcome. Welcome if you're new, welcome if you're not, welcome if this is the first or the 37th episode of my podcast that's gracing your ears. My name is Shannon and this is another episode of Try Not to Need Me, and welcome to yet another setup, purely because I wanted to get my Christmas tree in the background for those of you watching this. For those of you listening, it's a beautiful tree, so I would really highly recommend either pondering on the visual of this episode or, I don't know, because I don't have it on my social media. Maybe I'll put it in a highlight somewhere. Anyway, hi, how are you? Happy November. I don't feel like it was too long ago that I recorded an episode, so I'm going to consider that like a big win for me. I think the last one that went out was October 2nd, so it's been 6 weeks. Hey, I will take that as a victory, because prior to that, it's probably been like a solid 3 to 6 months in between episodes prior to that. So I will take that win. I will take that. How are you? How's life? How's 2020? It's almost over. Isn't that exciting? I'm pretty excited for it to be over. I have learned a lot this year, and I will strive to do a year in review episode. Which I do like usually just before Christmas. So hopefully that'll be the last episode of this year. And this won't be the last episode of this year. I'm manifesting that. I'm not going to sign off at the end of this presuming it's the last episode of this year so that I film another one. Anyway, 2020 is almost over, which is, crazy to think about, but also probably not a bad thing. But yeah, how's it going? How's life? As you can see, I've decorated for Christmas. As you can see, there's some, shameless business promotion going on in the background here, which was to hide some ugly wires and also to like throw our brand name in the background. If you're living under a rock or you're not watching this, Fiverbox is the business that my best friend and I started, and it is the sponsor of this episode. It is the sponsor of the entire podcast as far as I'm concerned forever. If you would like to get $5 off your first order, you can use the code FOBPOD5, which will also be linked in the description box along with our socials and our website, and you can go and check it out. We sell alcohol and cocktail gifting boxes. We also have Christmas hampers in stock. If you are looking for hampers to give to family or to send to colleagues or to send to people in lockdown, any of those fun things, I can attest to the fact that every food item in those hampers is delicious. 10 out of 10 would recommend. That's why we picked them. Sayed and I had like a snack tasting session before selecting the products for the hampers, which was good fun. So I can attest to the fact that they all taste pretty damn good. Anyway, I have pulled some questions. I've had to dig quite deep in the depths of my questions to get some. So if you have any questions or you have any advice you need, I know that I'm not the most reliable in terms of giving you advice on time. I believe one of the ones in here is from like a year ago, if not longer. So apologies if it's no longer relevant to you, but it might be relevant to someone else. You never know. Yeah, that's about it. Again, I'm really enjoying my like professional mic stand, but it does make me very mindful of like being too close, and also that it's not the most aesthetic thing in the world, but it's fine. So we're just going to leave it how it is. And you'll see like my beautiful little Christmas box that I've got in the background here as well. Anyway, apologies if you're only listening to this, but chaos is kind of my brand. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on into the questions. First one says, do you have any eyebrow or facial hair tips? I've never been a super hairy gal, in terms of like my eyebrows and like my mustache and things like that. My eyebrows, I've never been super into. I never fill them in. I only just ended up with an eyebrow pencil in my possession because my sister didn't want it. It's never necessarily been like a priority for me to make my eyebrows look pretty, but in saying that, I do pluck them. That's usually just how I've always done it. I have recently started getting them threaded when I remember to, which I don't mind because it's very quick and I quite like the shape of it. But then in between doing that, I usually just pluck the stray hairs, and I'm pretty lucky to have like nice thick like thick-ish eyebrows in terms of like actually having a lot of hair and it being a decent color. So I'm very lucky in that regard. In terms of other facial hair, I get a lot of like little straggly hairs, like hormonal, sort of like down like my sideburns and then like on my chin and my neck and stuff. I have always just been like an incessant plucker, and I would like pluck and pick them and it would be a bad thing. And I had considered getting laser because I get laser on my underarms and my Brazilian, but I just couldn't hang with the thought of like shaving my face to get it lasered. And then I was like also worried that lasering my face was going to hurt. Like I don't find laser super painful, but I feel like anything on your face is like not the most pleasant thing in the world. So I recently acquired a little tool that I was influenced to buy from an Instagram gal. And it's like a little, I don't even know what actual like methodology it uses. I think technically it's an epilator because I can't really think of how else it would work. But actually I think it cuts the hairs off. Anyways, it basically just like vibrates and you rub it on your face and the hair just comes off. And normally I had not touched my mustache my entire 24 years of my life. I had not ever touched my mustache because it was blonde and it was fair and you couldn't notice it. But recently I started, when I was wearing makeup, I started noticing it and I just got like super self-conscious about it. And I literally just like used it in circular motions around my mustache. Gone. Painless. Completely painless. Hair is gone. Like I don't know what the regrowth is. I only did that a few days ago, so I don't know, but for now it was like $25 from Priceline, this little thing. If I can find a link to it, I'll link it down below. But as far as I can concerned for now, bit of a game changer. Did it on all my like little straggly bits, and it makes your skin super smooth because it gets rid of all your little peach fuzz as well. So it's a yes from me at the moment. That could definitely change, but we'll see. So yeah, but I think finding what works for you, trying different things, trying waxing, trying plucking, threading, laser, epilators, whether you want to use like hair removal cream on your face. I wouldn't suggest that for your eyebrows, but for like if you get like sideburns or like chin hairs or anything like that, it's definitely, yeah, there's loads out there, but that's kind of what works for me. Question 2 says, are you political? I feel like you'd need to ask someone else this question about me. I wouldn't consider myself overly political in terms of my general stances and involvement in politics. I do have like stances and beliefs that I definitely stand by. I don't necessarily believe that the Australian government, or any government for that matter, are particularly effective in their endeavours, but then like it's a whole wormhole of like money, greed and power, and not something that I have the time to delve into, nor is that the point of this podcast. So I probably am political in terms of, trying to align with stances and community groups that I feel like I can relate to. I do care about looking into, what beliefs I care strongly about and who that aligns to in terms of like major political parties in Australia. There is a really, really, really good quiz. I will link it down below if I can find it, where, ahead of the election next year, if you basically like put in your stances and your positions on a bunch of social issues, and it tells you who you would align most to, like Labor, Liberal, Greens or other. And it's really helpful for young people. Like I find voting is so stressful because you don't want to waste your vote. I was very much, when I turned 18, 19, 20, was just like, I don't care. Now I'm trying to, and I think the US election was a big example of why young people and everybody who has the right to vote should care, and should. Obviously in Australia you legally have to, but I think, if we care about things, then we should go and exercise our right to vote and our right to our voice being heard in a way. I got very involved in the US election. I felt very, very strongly, and I'm very happy with the result. So I think, I'm kind of political, but like it's not necessarily like if someone was describing me, they wouldn't go, like, she's super political. So that's kind of that. I don't know if that was really an answer. Kind of. Anyway, the next question is a bit lengthy, so I'm just going to move my computer closer to me so I can read it. It says, so my new partner has a sister and they are really, really close. The sister was also really close with my partner's ex, and the sister and ex continue to be friends despite the breakup. I believe if I were being mature about it, then I wouldn't have to worry, because what's the harm in a friendship? But it bothers me because I can't stop incessantly comparing myself to the ex and wondering why the sister doesn't like me that much. The sister and I get on just fine, but we're not yet as close as she is with the ex. Bearing in mind the relationship did last for a number of years and we've now been dating for a couple months. I guess the root of my question is, how do you stop comparing yourself to your partner's exes and worrying about what their family think of you? I mean, top line, not comparing yourself is easier said than done, and it's really, really difficult, I think, in anything in life, whether that is you with an ex or someone who used to have a different friend, or even when you replace somebody in their place of work. I think there's always an element of fear of comparison. I think at the end of the day, you have to be secure in your relationship and why their old relationship didn't work out and why you're excited for the prospect of your current one. Like, you can't get too caught up in who they used to date. And obviously I know that is absolutely just like easier said than done. But I think you have to be really willing to let bygones be bygones and allow yourself to just be secure in your relationship and why you are together. I think as far as the family goes, that's obviously really hard. You know, they didn't date that person, nor did they break up with that person. So if the breakup happened for something that they didn't necessarily agree with or think was an issue or anything like that, they could still hold, you know, love and feelings for that person. You know, I feel like the same as when you're in that family and people break up, it can be really hard for you to not want to like stay connected with that person because they were a part of your life for so long. So it can be really hard not to get wrapped up in, you know, the existing relationship between your partner's sister and their ex. But I think at the end of the day, as your relationship builds and develops and grows, your relationship with the people in their life will do the same. And I think the more you spend time, like you've only been together a couple months, and like the fact that you even know or hang out with the sister that much is a lot quicker than a lot of people do it. So I think you just have to let time be what it needs to be and develop what it needs to develop. I think you and the sister will begin to get along closer, get along more, as you spend more and more time with the family, and as you get to know your partner and as you get to know your partner's family and their dynamic, and, you know, finding common ground and, you know, making the effort to know them and to be included, but also like respect their existing relationships with people. So I don't necessarily think you need to worry about comparison. Obviously it's natural and it will happen naturally, as I say, in your head, but I don't feel like you necessarily need to fixate too much on it, because eventually you'll stop comparing yourself and you'll just find the point in time where you are super secure and you think, all right, cool, you know, their ex is their ex and everybody has an ex at some point, and I don't necessarily feel like I need to worry about it. And also I think that the ex and the sister will potentially drift unless they were friends beforehand. If they're not seeing each other as often or not going out of their way to see each other, I don't feel like that relationship will stay there. And so then the sister might, you know, form a stronger connection with you. So I think give it time and everything will happen as it needs to happen. Last question is it okay to dump a friend? How can I justify cutting off my best friend who has been there for me for so long and hasn't done anything wrong? They're just really needy and I don't have time for them anymore. That's very harsh. I think cutting off friends in any circumstance is difficult. I know I've talked about this on other episodes. I'm sure of it. I think justifying cutting off a friend is hard, because if you simply choose to cut all ties with this person and you no longer want them in your life in any sense of that word, like you're done with them completely, ghosting a friend when nothing has happened is like, it's kind of a dog move, and it's also really hard because I'm completely guilty of this. I have done this in the past, and it does make you feel a bit shitty, and you kind of start to worry about the closure that neither of you had, and the fact that you I think it's different if you stop talking to them and they aren't putting in the effort either. But if you stop talking to them and they're trying, that's when it gets really hard, because they don't have closure and you are the shitty person in that situation. Whereas if you retract your effort from this person and they stop putting effort in, which it doesn't sound like this person is going to because you've said they're needy, that friendship will just naturally drift and, you know, become something of the past. And that's okay, because all friendships have either a reason, a season, or they do exist for a lifetime, but those friendships are very rare. So I just feel like if there's a conversation that can be had about the, I guess, level of involvement you can have in each other's lives, whether you're going in different directions with work or school, or, you know, you want to travel and they don't, or you have different like schedules and different timetables, and if you feel like the commonalities in your friendship are already like falling, like you're saying you don't have time for them, so I'm guessing you're not really seeing them very often, like easily. You have to like put the effort in to make the plan. You don't really want to make the plan because you feel like they're needy. If you're not getting anything out of the relationship, you have every right to say, look, I do feel like we are drifting, and, you know, I don't want there to be any bad blood. I just feel like our friendship is going in a different direction. You know, we're not who we used to be. I think I call these people legacy friends, where they've just always been there, and so you just always have them around, but they don't always serve you a purpose like they used to, or their purpose needs to change. And you can't always be the one to make that decision, because you can't tell people how to act or what to do, but you can set a boundary for yourself and say, look, you know, I feel like X, Y, and Z. I feel bad when I don't make time for you, but I just don't have the capacity to upkeep, you know, this relationship to a level that you want me to. I don't want you to feel shitty, and I don't want you to feel like I hate you, and I don't want there to be bad blood between us, but I just am struggling to entertain the, you know, the level of friendship that we have. And it's not a pleasant conversation to have, and it's hard to approach. You can do it one of a few things. You can ghost them, but you will feel shit about it. You can have a conversation, but it's a really uncomfortable conversation to have. But sometimes you reach a common ground and you both agree that, you know, life is moving on in a different direction, and that's okay. Or you can just leave it how it is and slowly retract yourself from their lives. That one's a bit harder, and it's a bit more of a long game. But, you know, there's also a difference between stopping putting effort in and ghosting someone. You can not make an effort to make a plan, but you can still respond to Instagram stories, message them for their birthday, check in with them and their mental health and their existence and some, you know, big things that are happening in their life. Like, you can continue to do that without necessarily being their be all and end all, but it is a tricky balance. I don't know if that was at all helpful, but that's all I really have to say on that. I mean, with that being said, short and sweet episode, 20 minutes. Who's going to complain about a 20-minute video? No one, because you have more time now to yourself. Plant a tree. Put your Christmas decorations up. Message a friend. Bake a cake. I don't know. Do whatever it is that makes you happy in the free time I've given you by only making this episode 20 minutes. Anyway, thank you as always for listening or watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, please send them to me. Please send me questions. All the links will be down below in the description of this video or the description of this episode if you're listening. That's all I really have to say to you. Thank you for listening and supporting. And and always coming back to my episodes for whatever reason. If there's anything you'd like me to cover in my year in review, please let me know. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can anonymously message me at either of my submissions. And I love you all dearly, and I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, morning, night, tomorrow, weekend, week, whenever or wherever you are whilst listening or watching this. And I will talk to you in my next episode. Bye.